Hello dear students, welcome to Pen and Paper Chemistry. The topic that we are taking up or continuing with is hybridization part 2, and in this we shall be dealing with sp2 hybridization in greater detail. What is sp2 hybridization? Now before we go on with sp2 hybridization, I would request you to watch the video on the why and how of hybridization so that the basics are in place. In sp2 hybridization, that means I am going to talk about 1s and 2p orbitals participating, right, in hybridization. How many of the sp2 hybrid orbitals will be formed? 2 plus 1 gives me 3 sp2. So it's easy to name them because we are taking one s orbital and 2 p orbitals. So it will be 3 orbitals, 3 hybrid orbitals, and the name of those hybrid orbitals would be sp2, right? So again we come back to the same thing. What is hybridization? That is intermixing of atomic orbitals, that is redistribution of energy within the atomic orbitals. So that means my s orbital, which was spherically symmetrical, and the p orbitals, which are dumbbell shape and they are aligned along the nucleus, they undergo hybridization to give me sp2 hybrid orbitals, right? Now these sp2, I've got 3 of these. We have to spread them so that they are maximum distance apart from each other, so that there is no confusion between them and there is no infighting amongst them. Because we know that if they are closer to each other, they will start fighting with each other and they will start repelling each other. We don't want that to happen at all. So we have to spread them so that they are maximum distance apart. And how does that distribution take place? So again, I'll ask you to get hold of the colored pencils and Play-Doh or flour, something into which you can stick. So what do you have over here? See, look at this. What have we got? How have we arranged them so that they are maximum distance apart from each other? Perfect. It's in the form of a triangle. So we have 1, 2 and 3. So these are the sp2 hybrid orbitals. The bonding atom will come and join over here at the edges, but these have to be spread so that they are maximum distance apart from each other. So what bond angle do you think it is? Yes, 360 divided by 3. They are in one plane. See, look at it from any angle. They are all in one plane, and this gives us a bond angle of 120 degrees. The shape, it's a triangle, right? Triangle in one plane. So it's trigonal planar shape. Clear? Try making it yourself with simple materials which are around you, or just join 3 pencils and you will be able to see. So your hand becomes the central atom, and these are the 3 atoms which are bonded to each other, and there you go, right? So you have the trigonal planar arrangement again. So let us draw these hybrid orbitals again. Now we already did in the first video that the shape of the hybrid orbital will now be different. You have doubt regarding this concept, please visit the video, or please watch the video on why and how of hybridization. Everything has been explained in detail in that. Now I've drawn the 3 hybrid orbitals. Why? 1s and 2p. The total number of hybrid orbitals is the or is equals to the total sum of the atomic orbitals participating in hybridization. I am repeating this again and again because many students face this confusion. So, now to make it more clear what we are going to do, yes, we are going to shade it. Now our atom is ready to undergo bond formation. You notice over here the bond angle is 120 degrees and the shape that we've got over here, see, it's a triangle in one plane. Hence the shape is trigonal planar. Have you got your pen and paper with you? Are you noting down everything that we are doing over here? Because this is going to come in very handy when you are offline, when you are not able to watch YouTube and you have just 5 minutes before the exams to revise. This will be very, very useful. So please note it down. Now we are taking the example over here, boron trifluoride, BF3. I have written the electronic configuration. Atomic number of boron is 5, 1s2, 2s2, 2p1, and this is called the ground state. On the approach of an atom, this boron gets excited. Oh, I'm getting guests at home. Some guests are coming, so let me realign myself. Yes, and that is when the s electron gets unpaired and goes into the higher energy level. It goes into 2p. You notice over here, I have written the configuration 2s1, 2px1, py1, and of course there is no electron in pz. That's a 0, right? Now, next what happens is, before the arrival of the guest, they need to ensure that there is harmony in the house and all of them look the same. And they undergo what we call as hybridization. Here again, you can either draw it as rectangular boxes or you can draw it also as circles. So, I have represented the s, the 2s orbital and the 2p orbital over here. Now I am representing hybridization here, and what name is it? It is called sp2. Why sp2? Because one s orbital and 2p orbitals are hybridizing. So sp2 hybridization. Please keep on noting it, or you can pause the video, note it and then go on to understand. Now it has undergone sp2 hybridization. Let's continue. So we will have here boron in the center. Let me draw the hybrid orbitals like this and like this. And we have, yes, the question is, why are we having the small lobes? Again, I will refer you to the previous video, whys and hows of hybridization. The energy has got redistributed. Earlier, the energy which was centered around the nucleus and equally distributed above and below the internuclear axis, now it gets redistributed and it is focused more towards the guest who is arriving at home. That's the short explanation. You can always watch the video. Now, let me shade this. So, these are my hybrid orbitals. You must be wondering, why am I shading it? It looks nice, right? You will also see the difference when we go on to explain what we call as pi bonding. That's another interesting concept, and I'm going to explain it in this video itself. Now, fluorine. Now, fluorine atomic number, the atomic number of fluorine is 7. So, we have 1s2, 2s2, 2p5. So, in the case of fluorine, what we've got is, we've got one p orbital with an unpaired electron. The other p orbitals are having paired electrons. See, this is how it is. Overall, the shape of p is also spherically symmetrical, but each one of them is dumbbell shape. Now, Please understand here again what we've got is, we've got the p orbitals aligned like this. See, originally the p orbitals are mutually perpendicular to each other. Overall it is again a sphere, right? That is how mutually perpendicular they are. But after hybridization, what will happen is their energy gets redistributed and they are aligned according to the shape of the molecule. So when I am talking about fluorine, now if you notice over here, 2 of these are completely filled up and it's the third one that has to pair up its electron. Each of these hybrid orbitals in the case of boron is having an unpaired electron. Should I draw the unpaired electron in white so that it's more visible? Okay, here we have an unpaired electron. Now fluorine comes in. Fluorine is the gas that we were expecting. Yes, so fluorine comes in and we have, okay, would you like to draw it yourself? It's the p orbital of fluorine which will come and overlap with the sp2 hybrid orbital of boron. The other 2 orbitals remain unaffected. They are still perpendicular to each other. Now the question that arises in our mind is, why doesn't fluorine undergo hybridization? Why is it that boron undergoes hybridization? If you see the structure of boron trifluoride experimentally, we see that boron is the central atom, and usually it is the central atom which will undergo hybridization when we are talking about a molecule or when we are talking about distribution of atoms around the central atom. Same way, the other 2 fluorine atoms will also come, and this is how we will represent it. There we go. The other 2 are, you have to imagine here that the other 2 are mutually perpendicular. I am not able to draw it completely. It's difficult to draw a 2D structure on, a 3D structure. And there we go. And we have these again mutually perpendicular. And this is how our boron trifluoride molecule is. It's looking nice, right? Just like a flower drawn. Bond angle. Now here's a bond, here's a bond. The angle between them is what makes up a bond angle, and that in this case is how much? Very correct. That bond angle is 120 degrees. What is the shape? We are going to write the shape as trigonal planar. Are you noting all of this down? So we have trigonal planar shape, bond angle is 120 degrees. The type of hybridization is sp2. Okay, let's talk about one more thing. The overlap that is taking place. What type of overlap is this? Is it sigma or pi overlap? Is it sigma bonding or pi bonding? Go ahead, think. I'm waiting for you to think to yourself and be ready with the answer. Yes, it's a sigma bond. This one also is a sigma bond. This one also is a sigma bond. Why? Why is it a sigma bond? A sigma bond always involves a head-on overlap like this. So the 2 atomic orbitals will come and overlap like this. This is a sigma bond. Or if you have 2 spheres, then, so if we are talking about S, so the 2 spheres will come and overlap like this. So this is a kind of a head-on overlap. So head-on overlap is always sigma bond. It could also be between a sphere and a dumbbell. So we could have a sigma bond between S and P, right, like how we did, or have we already covered? No, we haven't. So we've got a sigma bond between an S and a P. On the other hand, if it's a perpendicular overlap like this, right, sideways overlap, we call it as a pi bond, right? That's great. So in the case of BF3, we could also say that there are 3 sigma bonds, right? Clear? Now based on this concept, I will give you one example to do yourself. You've got the structure here, you've got the atomic number here. Why don't you try and draw the structure and represent the type of hybridization in BH3, boron trihydride. I know it actually exists as diborane B2H6. We shall talk about it separately. But if I am giving you to draw the structure of boron trihydride BH3, please try and explain hybridization in boron trihydride. Have you done? I wish you could post your answers in the form of pictures in the comment section. I wish YouTube had that feature. Anyway, we have boron ground state over here. So I'm giving you hints over here. So you first write the electronic configuration of boron. Have you written that? Okay, give yourself 1 star. Keep on checking what you've done. And if you haven't done, you still have the time to pause the video, draw the structure and maybe check it along with me. Boron excited state. Draw the configuration or write the configuration if you've done that. Perfect. Represent the hybridization. That's another star. So that's an sp2 hybridization. Again, go on to draw the structure of boron with the hybrid orbitals. Trigonal planar. If you want to shade, good. Actually, it is a good habit to shade the hybridized orbitals. Why? You'll come to know very soon. So we've got 1 unpaired electron in each of these. And what comes now is very correct. We've got hydrogen, atomic number 1, electronic configuration 1s1. So if you've drawn till this, another star to you. And now hydrogen 1s1 is pretty simple. So we've got hydrogen coming and overlapping. We've got hydrogen coming and overlapping. We've got hydrogen coming and overlapping. So nice it is looking, right? Bond angle, right, bond angle 120 degrees. Shape, trigonal planar. Please don't forget these important points. What type of overlap is there? Very correct. Again, there are sigma overlaps. And how many of those? 3 sigma bonds are there, or 3 sigma overlaps. And now the overlap is between sp2 and s sigma bonds, right? The overlap is taking place between the sp2 and the s. Does that make it clear? Just going back to boron trifluoride, where we wrote 3 sigma bonds. Now, can you tell me what overlaps should I write? Correct. The overlap is between sp2 hybrid orbital of boron and the p orbital of fluorine, right? So sp2p overlaps. And how many of such overlaps are there? Again, it is 3. So this is what I was talking about when we were saying about the head-on overlap. If you've written all these points, very good. You get Should we give you 2 stars for this again? Okay, 1 star again. So overall, explaining the structure got you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. So you are a 5-star person, right? And so is your knowledge. Are we ready to extend this concept further? I am now going to take the example of ethene. It is also called as ethylene in the common system. Formula is C2H4. Now from the structural diagram, we know that there is a double bond between the 2 carbon atoms, right? There are double bonds between the carbon atoms. And we know that one is a sigma, one is a pi. We've already spoken about the sigma and the pi. Let's explain these in terms of hybridization. Again, come on, do it with me. Write the electronic configuration of carbon, atomic number 6. So it's 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. Is it correct? What state is this? We call it as the ground state. Correct. Now go on to the excited state of carbon. Go ahead. Yes, 1s2, 2s1, 2p, x1, py1, pz1. By the way, here also it is 2px1, py1. Why didn't we write it as 2px2 directly? Why did we write it as 2px1, py1? Correct, perfect, Hund's rule, you remembered it. First orbitals are singly filled up and then pairing begins, right? I will rub out this point so that there is no confusion. Now, if you notice over here, it has to form a pi bond. So it is like we are having guests coming home, and there are 4 members in the house, A, B, C and D. They all need to get together in order to set up the house for the guest. But D says, I have my boards coming up. I can't be of help. I'll be there when the guest comes, but I cannot help you in setting up the things. Okay, no problem, we'll allow you that, right? Why should we allow him that? Because kindness is a part of human nature, right? So, okay, let's be kind to D and we will let him be, right? And so, what takes part in hybridization now is just the S and the P. And how many of P are going to take part in hybridization? Only 2 atomic orbitals of P. Now many a times I get comments in the video asking, why did I not take this P? You will understand when we go further. Just keep watching. You will see. So what is the type of hybridization we are showing over here? sp2. Now this pz is like you who are going to appear for your boards and you are exempted from all the housework. You are given the freedom to study. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. There is unpaired electron everywhere. Yes, they are all part of the family. But this one says, okay, we are going to allow you to be independent. So what is the type of hybridization we are talking about? Perfect. 1 of S and 2 of P participating gives you sp2 hybridization. Right? Okay. Now sp2 hybridization means what will be the orientation of the hybrid orbitals around the carbon? Perfect. It will be trigonal. Let me make the trigonal like this. and like this and like this. Pardon me for my drawing, I'm not so good at it, but I'm trying my best, just like you too, right? Okay, this is one carbon. Now, if you notice in the original structure, we have to have two carbons, right? Oh yes, both the houses, it's the same story going on. So, we have the second carbon also setting up. Now, now we've got the two carbons ready, and we have these as the hybridized orbitals. So, these are my hybrid orbitals. So, I am going to shade them. Why don't you keep on drawing alongside? It's good, you'll learn, you'll remember, you won't have to read this topic again once you understand yourself over here while watching this video. Promise, you'll be able to teach it to your friend. It is going to become that simple. So, where we have the unpaired electron, unpaired electron, unpaired electron, and here we have the unpaired electron, the unpaired electron, and the unpaired electron. Okay, we've got these two houses in place. Okay, now what happens over here is they approach each other. Okay, you've got an unpaired electron, I've got an unpaired electron. Why don't we make friends? Our electrons can get paired up. Oh yes, that's a wonderful idea. Why not? So, what are we going to do? So, we will have the two carbon atoms overlapping. What type of overlap is this? Is it a head-on or is it a sideways? It is like two cars approaching each other head-on, right? You must be wondering why I am not showing the small lobes. It's just for clarity, that's all, right? If you want, you can go ahead showing the small lobe. Whereas the other two hybrid orbitals are very much in place, right? Okay, there we go. Now, here we've got a head-on overlap. See over here and see over here. Head-on overlap is perfect. It's a sigma bond, one electron coming from each of the carbon atoms. Okay, what about the others? Yes, they are also there. Now, here we've got the sigma bond. This sigma bond has taken place between the sp2 hybrid orbitals, right, of the two carbon atoms. So, we call it as the sp2 sigma overlap, right? Now, there are still unpaired electrons. What do? Oh yes, we are forgetting the hydrogen, right? Hydrogen electronic configuration 1s1, it comes up with its unpaired electron. Hydrogen 1s1. Hydrogen 1s1 needs an unpaired electron. Hydrogen 1s1 needs an unpaired electron. Perfect. But is the octet complete as yet? No, it's not. You see, there are two electrons here, two here, two here, 2, 2, 2. So, we've got 6 over here in the valence shell. So, each of the carbons still needs 2 electrons. So, how are we going to fill up that? Now, here comes the bored student. It's just like the guest comes in and the guest has a family member who's also appearing for the board examinations, right? So, oh, you are also in class 12. Oh, yes, my son will get along with you very well. Okay. And there we call the son along, PZ orbital. Hey, come on, we have a companion for you. And where is that companion? Yes, that companion is in the form, see, this is the student who is appearing for the board exam, aloof, who did not participate in setting up the things, but is there to pitch in at the last moment. Why? Because even that has an unpaired electron, right? So, what do we do? What type of overlap will they undergo? Perfect. They will undergo, yes, sideways overlap. Now, in order to represent the sideways overlap, what we call as the pi bond. In pi bond, both the lobes will overlap. So, in order to show both the lobes overlapping, I will show dotted lines from yellow to green. Okay. This does not mean two pi bonds. This just means a pi bond. That's all. These two dotted lines are just to indicate that both the top and the bottom lobes are overlapping. That's all what is required to be shown. Now comes the interesting bit. So, first of all, what will be the shape? Again, you see, when you have to see the shape, you are going to forget about one of the atoms. Just forget about it. So, let me suppose that I am hiding this. Look at the configuration around this part, around this carbon as a whole. This is your bond, this is your bond, this is your bond, right? 3 bonds oriented at 120 degrees, right? So, the bond angle is again 120 degrees. The shape around each of the carbon is also trigonal planar, right? This is how we have to see. What type of overlaps are there? We have now, look at it carefully. How many sigma bonds have we got over here? Now you can see the diagram carefully and tell me how many sigma bonds are there. Yes, there was one sigma bond. Sigma, 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 sigma. You have to be very careful about what I am going to ask you. Okay. Each carbon atom undergoes how many sigma bond formations? It's not 5. I am talking about each carbon atom. Each carbon atom is undergoing only 3 sigma bonds, right? And how many pi bonds? 1 pi bond. Now listen to my question again. Overall in the molecule, how many sigma bonds are there? Yes, there you go, 5. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So in the molecule there are 5 sigma bonds and there is 1 pi bond. Be careful, it's not 2 pi bonds, it's 1 pi bond. It's just that both the lobes are overlapping. See here once again. So when I am saying pi bond, it's both the lobes which are overlapping with each other. This makes 1 pi bond. To form 1 pi bond, both the parts of the p orbital have to overlap. If it's only one part overlapping like this, then it's a sigma bond. Only one lobe is overlapping, right? So be very clear about this. And now go on to write the type of hybridization. Good. So hybridization is sp2 hybridization. So now, do you still have a doubt as to why we left the board student away? Why we left the pz orbital? Yes, the pz orbital is there. It is pitching in at the last moment when they really need help in order to complete the octet and form what we call as the pi bond. Here, just for representation, I have used colors in order to help you to differentiate in your pen, and that does not mean that the orbitals of the 2 carbon atoms are any different from each other or the electrons are any different of the 2 atoms. They are all the same. It is just a representation just to make it more clear. So now you know when there is a double bond between 2 carbon atoms, one will be a sigma, the other will be a pi. Again, going back to the structure, see between the two carbon atoms, one sigma bond and one pi bond. Always the sigma bond is formed first, followed by the pi bond, right? So whenever you have the double bond, you know how to answer it now. And hope that you have drawn the figures alongside, and I also wish that I could see a smile on your faces, because that's what this channel is all about, to bring a smile to the students' faces. If you are really smiling at the end of this video, please don't forget to show me that smile in the comment section. Stay safe, stay happy. Happy learning to all of you.